Hey guys, so the new ZABBIX 7.4 is almost here, and official release date I think it's not yet set, but it is like very soon to the release. And as it usually comes with the release or before the release, you can find some information about what's actually included in the new major version of the ZABBIX, which is just exactly the case. We already have the blog post with the overview and some screenshots and all sort of different descriptions about everything that you can find, that you will be able to find in the new release of the ZABBIX version 7.4. And straight away, just to make sure that all of us are on the same pages, I don't even have my ZABBIX up and running, installed, configured, and everything for this video. So only thing that I'm actually gonna do is go through all of this page and together with you learn about new features, how they look like, guess leave some comments on what I personally think about them, and yeah, we're just gonna have a blast and talk about what's new in the ZABBIX 7.4. And also straightforward, apologies about my voice. I am a little bit sick and have quite stuffy nose, so my voice is probably not as it usually is. Starting with the first thing, ZABBIX version 7.4 is almost here, so there's the contact us information from the initmax, also some demo ZABBIX that you can sign in and try it out and see how it works if you're very new to the ZABBIX and you don't have it yourself. And the first big feature that is available, will be available in the ZABBIX 7.4. And to be honest, like I think we already are in RC1 for 7.4. So if you do want to try all of this stuff, you can just install or just run from the Docker containers. It's going to take like a couple of minutes. So you can already test out all of this functionality, which is ready and available. Back to the stuff. Widget item card. This widget is ideal for a quick and detailed overview of selected critical items on dashboards. It is especially useful for technical and administrative dashboards where you need to closely monitor the status of the key ZABBIX metrics. And this is how it looks like. So long story short, it's basically where you can see a lot of information about one single item, right? So here we have the item card, that's the widget name. The item in focus is the value cache percentage used, and then we can see all of the relevant stuff about this item in the dashboard. As example, the interval, how often we're collecting the data, history, storage period, trends. The only thing is, like, if you are using partitioning, then none of these will actually matter. So that's, I guess, just worth to know. Type of information, not the type of information, but the type of item. So this one is ZABBIX internal. We can see when was the last check, applications, the last received value, quick shortcut to the graph, type of information, triggers, macro inventory, host interface, and also a place for the errors if the item is actually not supported. If you think about the widget configuration, let me try to zoom out a bit. So edit the widget, refresh rate as it usually is. You need to select item. I'm kind of sure it's always going to be just one item, and then show the relevant stuff that you actually want to see in this widget. And so it turns out if you do have a partitioning and you don't want to show how long you are keeping the history, then I guess somewhere here you can find the entity for that stuff and just turn it off. Sparkline, so yeah, that's for this, the little graph of the items, so that you're not necessarily will have to go to the monitoring latest data and check the graphs, but you're already going to see the inside, at least the pattern of the graph right from your dashboard. And here the user defines the order and selection of information to be displayed in the widget, like metrics, type of information, host interface, type, description, error text, latest data, triggers, host inventory, tags. But I can't, yeah, I cannot find actually where it would be about the history and trends. So it's interesting whether or not you can actually turn those off if you are using partitioning. History data, option to select whether to use automatically determined data or specifically historical and data trends. Override host, option to override the host for which, yeah, widget displays the data. Next one, I guess it's one of the most major features of the version of the ZABBIX 7.4 is the new ZABBIX host wizard. And previously we didn't have the wizards at all, and kinda, if you know, you know. If you don't, then, well, those are not going to be easy times for you. You're going to need a lot of documentation or my videos or some other blog posts and whatever to understand how actually ZABBIX works. But the main intention of this host wizard is to quickly and easily guide a user from creating the host till actually starting to monitor and receiving the data, like selecting any compatible template, automatic interface proposal, assistance with agent installation and configuration, summary, and saving configuration. And good thing that we actually have a video here. Let me try to zoom in again a little bit just to make sure that you guys can see everything. Yeah, should be good. So if we play it, so host wizard, it's additional button. Welcome to the host wizard. Yeah, you can turn off the welcome screen if you don't want to see it anymore. Then you click next, and we're selecting the template. So, okay, we're selecting the template, and we can search, and something that we can find actually appears. We also have grouped stuff based on databases, operating system, applications, or stuff like that. That's nice. If we select the template, then we also need to check data collection will be agent-based or agentless, or an agent mode active or passive. That's basically gonna determine also what templates are gonna show for you. So as this example, it changes from ZABBIX agent passive to ZABBIX agent active. Create or select a host. Okay, so that was what I was wondering, because there's like a button in the configuration hosts, data collection hosts. So you actually have both options. You can either select already existing host if you have it created, or you can create it right from host wizard. So create new, the host group is a mandatory thing to have. Install ZABBIX agent. So the template you selected, PHP FPM by ZABBIX agent, requires ZABBIX agent to be installed and running on your monitoring target. Skip operating system selection if you already have the ZABBIX agent installed. So assuming I don't have configure encryption with the PS keys, I would personally, I don't know, maybe it's gonna be later, but I would definitely give an option to install an agent without encryption. Or wait, command install ZABBIX. Yeah, it's interesting. If it is configuring the agent straight away with the encryption, then the question is like, why if I don't want to use it? For Windows, so Windows 10, Server 16 or later, or some older versions, just the PowerShell commands, how to install the agents. And this will also provide the server host, so all the initial configuration for the agent will also be included in this one. And add host interface, yeah, agent address and agent port. So that one is default, and IP is something that you need to change. So benefits of the host wizard, easy to use, especially for the beginners. And obviously the main point is here for the beginners: reduce configuration errors, fast and clear setup of new hosts, and availability of all advanced configuration options for experienced users. So this will really, I would say it's like a beginning. Of course, it would be great to have all sort of different wizards within the ZABBIX. The host configuration wizard is just a beginning. And for beginners and for someone who just set up ZABBIX first time, no matter if it's like packages, cloud, or whatever else, this will definitely going to be beneficial, because with 9 years experience with the ZABBIX, I guess that's one of the most frequent comments about the tool, that the learning curve is like very, very steep. And for someone who doesn't know anything without doing deep dive research of the stuff, it's very complicated to just get started. So the next stuff, dynamic real-time widget configuration updates. And here, like reading the title, there's no need to read the description anymore, because I already like this. Previously, like, depending on how long you work with a ZABBIX, in a version 3.0, which is the newest version that was available when I joined the company, when I started to work with the ZABBIX, you didn't even have an option to edit dashboards. Like, you could not create any custom widgets. You had what you had, and that's it. You were not able to change anything. So then I don't remember in which one version it became possible to edit dashboards, create your own widgets, and configure all the stuff. And always and forever in all of my videos about visualization options, about editing dashboards, I had this crazy stuff. So whenever you're trying to change something, so you're setting up the triggers, there's, sorry, not the triggers, the widgets, there's a hell of a lot options that you can change and edit and so on. And even for me, like, not necessarily I always know what option does what. So it's a lot of click and trial. And there was always no way to see the changes before actually saving the configuration of the widget, which was super annoying. So you change something and you need to save and close the model window and just then check the changes. And most likely you're still not satisfied. So you again need to go into this edit mode, again back to this model window, again make some changes, and again save it and close the window to see the effect. And right now, apparently, dynamic real-time widget configuration updates, you don't need actually to do that. So you will see the changes on the fly as soon as you change something in the configuration of the widget. That's very convenient. Easier copying of item test results. Now you can easily copy results of item testing and pre-processing steps using the new copy to clipboard button. So this one, test item, that's quite old feature already, so you can test if everything works, and you can copy paste. Hard to say, like for this example specifically, if it's just an integer, then you can just double click on the number and then you can copy Control-C and Control-V and you're good to go. Might be more useful for the cases when you're receiving some complex JSON or XML or whatever long array of the data, and you want to test it out in some other tool, I don't know where, or in some other application. So then, yeah, in that case, it's easier to click just one single button instead of trying to select everything in the test result. New notification section in the user profile. Management of notification media and front-end messages has been moved from the user profile into a new, clearer notification section. With this change, even users with ZABBIX user permissions can now easily configure and manage their own notification data. So just moving the stuff from one section to another section, and with that also giving ability to individual users to select whether or not they want to use the front-end notifications. Those would be the actual pop-ups in your ZABBIX front-end. On some specific trigger severities, if you want to do that. So small, handy stuff. Independent resolution of the Vault macro via ZABBIX server and proxy. So it is now possible to configure Vault secret macro to be resolved independently by both the ZABBIX server and individual ZABBIX proxy. Simply set the resolve secret Vault by macros by to ZABBIX server and proxy. This allows proxy servers to independently resolve macro without needing to communicate with the ZABBIX server. So this might be beneficial for like min-maxing the performance. If again we talk about a min-maxing, really trying to squeeze out the most out of your monitoring setup. So instead of going back to the server to decrypt the macro and then go back to start the processing, in that case, like in this case, with this new feature, the proxy will be able to do that on spot, on-prem, without connecting to the ZABBIX server. So we're saving some precious time, which will positively affect the performance. But this will be useful only if you are using HashiCorp Vault, which, as far as I know, is not that much common thing that people are actually doing. More detailed statistics for history syncer transactions. And history syncer, so if you remember or do know, basically the main stuff that is required to synchronize the data in the database, that would be, I guess, the most heaviest stuff, but it also does all sort of different stuff. So History syncer process now display detailed statistics about processed transactions directly in their names. That enables you to easily monitor how many values and triggers were processed and duration of each operation. A plus B triggers means A triggers processed based on new values and B triggers processed based on timers. So what we will be able to see in a ZABBIX 7.4 is time spent writing item values to the database, time spent updating items, time spent writing trends to the database, spent calculating triggers, and processing events and actions. So this will just make the troubleshooting process more convenient, especially just for some, let's say, average Joe users. You are still kind of able to find out which part is exactly slow by running like trace or just increase debug level on the history syncers. Also, like if the problem is with writing something to the database, you will also see slow queries in the ZABBIX server log file. And then from the query and from the tables affected, you can tell whether or not the issue is with writing history values to the database or with writing trends values to the database. It's a bit more trickier with finding out whether or not the problem is with updating items or calculating triggers or processing events and actions. So this will come handy to troubleshoot those cases when your history syncer is 100% busy. And when history syncer is 100% busy, you're definitely going to have some gaps in your data, which will most likely make your no data triggers to fire. So it's hard to miss all that. And yeah, now it's going to be easier for you to troubleshoot. New options for displaying elements and links on a map. So another improvement to the maps. I actually don't remember when was the last improvement. I really do remember the time when we added support for GIF images in the maps. I think it was ZABBIX 4.2 or 4.4, something like that. Automatic label hiding. Labels for map elements, hosts, and links can now be set to auto hide mode. Labels will automatically hide if the element or link is in OK state and appear only when a problem arises or a value changes. This makes the maps clearer and easier to read. So do we have here a screenshot? Like, yeah, so see here, just on hover, you can see the actual value from the item. Oh, it's actually a video. So let's play this. Yeah, it's on a click, but by default, it's like not visible, which just makes the map clear. And you can also set it up to work on a trigger so that whenever the line trigger associated to the line is in a problem state, you can actually make sure that that the label appears visible. OAuth2 support for SMTP media. ZABBIX now supports this authentication for SMTP media type generic Gmail and Microsoft. This enhancement provides greater security and is required by modern email service providers who are gradually discontinuing support for traditional username and password authentication. So kind of, yeah, straightforward. Username and password might be, I guess, easiest to set up, right? You just copy paste your stuff and it works, but it's not really used anymore nowadays in any applications and any software, and ZABBIX is not a exclusion. So here in the ZABBIX, you also will be able to use the OAuth authentication for your SMTP. Example configuration for generic SMTP redirection endpoint, client ID and client secret obtained from your provider. So I guess that's going to be a good tutorial video of where you can actually find these secrets and client IDs. I have to make a note for that. Authorization endpoint and token endpoint configured according to your OAuth2 provider's documentation. So kind of like all of the stuff that is needed to set this up will come from SMTP server provider like Gmail or anything else. And then you'll just have to provide all of that information within the ZABBIX to make all of this work. Here are just some example configurations. And since May 30, 2022, Gmail no longer supports traditional password-based authentication. OAuth2 is now the only available authentication method for Gmail SMTP and ZABBIX. We recommend migrating as soon as possible. Yeah. Storing SAML certificates directly in the database. So for SSO, to set it up, no matter if you want it or not, you need to import the certificates. And to import the certificates, you need to have access to, let's say, SSH console to your ZABBIX frontend. Yes, ZABBIX frontend. But not always it is possible, and when it's not possible, it basically eliminates an option to use an SSO, but SSO is pretty much a mandatory feature for all of the production installations, so there must be some alternative way how to do that easily. And right now it's also going to be possible to provide all of the required stuff and also upload the certificates right from the ZABBIX frontend, and the certificates will be stored in the database instead of just the certificate files on the ZABBIX frontend server. Overview of minor improvements: change the default user session storage period from 365 days to 31. Yeah, so that's the next stuff, the minor improvements. Default user session storage period decreased, increased maximum cache size for history cache size and trend cache size. So that's for very big installations. And new and updated templates: Juniper MX series, Azure MS SQL DTU, Pure Storage Flash Array, updated templates, iDRAC now utilizing SMTP OAuth items for more efficient data collection. So if you remember in the version 7.0, I believe, there was a change about the SMTP OAuth items instead of bulk processing of SMTP, which was not exactly the same. And these ways are more performance-wise better, but it's still a matter of time to update all of the old templates to switch to new SMTP OAuth items. So this is the direction to that. Proxmox VE by HTTP added new items and triggers for monitoring disk space usage. MS SQL by ODBC. Performance counter queries corrected. Linux and Nextcloud removed unnecessary preprocessing steps from LLD rules to enhance performance. Interesting, which ones? Microsoft 365 reports by HTTP improved descriptions for better clarity. PostgreSQL by ZABBIX Agent 2 expanded support for PostgreSQL version 17. About time. And ZABBIX download and other useful links. ZABBIX 7.4 is available for download already, even right now in pre-release. It's not still like a stable version, so I would not recommend to use it in your production, but it's definitely good enough to play around and just try new features and new functionality. And full documentation for the new version can be found in the ZABBIX What's New 7.4. As official partners and strong enthusiasts of ZABBIX platform, we offer comprehensive top-level services in all areas of ZABBIX monitoring. So if you're interested in live demonstration of ZABBIX installations or customer sites, we'd be happy to show you ZABBIX in action. So that's about the init max. And kind of that's it. So I guess we're going to have some fun with the ZABBIX 7.4. And don't forget that after ZABBIX 7.4, the next version is the new LTS version 8.0, which will probably have a lot of great, big, major features. So thank you guys for watching. Already heard that my voice is changing pretty much. Time to drink some tea. And if you like the video, don't forget to smash that like button, click subscribe, and if you want to support me in any other ways, you can find the link to the Patreon page in the description of the video. Other than that, thank you guys for watching once again. Goodbye, and see you later. Bye-bye.